Welcome back to Backward Point. My name is Nazar Sayed, and with me is my co-host
Bashar.
This is a cricket podcast where we talk about what's happening in the world of cricket. Today, we're going to be talking about the Pakistan-New Zealand series, the 4 T20s that have happened. We're going to be talking about Arjun Tendulkar,
Yeah.
son of Sachin Tendulkar, and his performance in the IPL, and much more in the world of cricket. Let's begin.
Pakistan versus New Zealand.
Let's go.
You said we had 4 games. I want to say 3.45 games. Just because the fourth match got washed out and the first innings we got through about 18.5 overs.
And the way that it got washed out was like so dramatic.
Bro, it got hailed out.
What is that all about?
I mean, it's Pindi. It's that region is more like it's a mountainous area, if you want to call it. So you can expect this kind of weather. Actually, the whole match was scheduled to be rained out based on the forecast. But luckily, we got some overs in. Our boy Mahal Wasim got to take some wickets. But
Rest in peace.
I want to take this chronologically.
Yeah, let's go
game by game.
Let's go game by game. We already did a series preview. So
Yes.
if you guys want to check that out, the link's gonna be in the bio. Before we start though, I just wanted to give a quick shout out and ask people who are watching this to like and subscribe. We are one of those few channels where our subscriber count is low, but our view count is so high, like it's almost triple sometimes. And that means that all of y'all are watching but not subscribing, and that's upsetting to me. So please subscribe and then continue watching. First T20, what are the thoughts?
My initial thoughts were just looking at the playing 11. I know we gave youngsters a chance in the Afghanistan series, which in hindsight, looking back at the pitches here versus the pitches that we had in UAE, I think those were more tough conditions. And in hindsight, hindsight, as we say, is 2020. I think our boys that did well in the PSL, they might have done better in these conditions. Maybe if we had sent our A team against Afghanistan and the UAE and tried those PSL guys in this series, it might have been a better option. But again, it's in the past. Let's move on. The one thing that shocked me was we did not see Mohammad Haris in the playing 11 up until now. Actually, we're all 4 games in,
And we probably won't.
Mohammad Haris was our find of the last T20 World Cup. The way he came into the team against South Africa, smashed Rabada, Nortje, and for him to all of a sudden now be dropped, I don't understand that. I get that Saim Ayub is a terrific talent. He's a great player, but there should be some continuity with giving our players a chance. And in that context, not seeing Mohammad Haris in the playing 11 for this whole series so far is a bit shocking and appalling for me.
Do you think it's because they're just trying to build Saim's confidence and because Mohammad Haris to me is a lock. To me, it feels like he's already like a part of the playing 11. There is a playing 11 that he very easily fits in. They're just trying to build up Saim a little bit so they have a little bit more variety. My other argument is, where does he play? You cannot play 4 openers we're already playing 4 openers.
You are, yes.
And then you want Haris in there as well. So who are you going to drop? It's like a problem of... I know you're laughing. And no, it's not what you think it is. It's not going to be that because my man scored a century in the second game. So we're going to get onto that. But I'm just saying, how do you materialize this squad so that you get a Haris in there as well, you get Saim as well? The thing is, we have the luxury of options now, which is really weird to us. We've never had this. Yeah. We were the team that was stuck with Umar Akmal for a decade because we couldn't find a replacement for the longest time. People who would come in, your Hamad Azams, your Bilawal Bhattis, they would just come in and go. They would evaporate. We finally have we have a bench strength that is arguably just as strong as our playing 11, right? So that creates pockets of fans. Like Saim has fans, Haris has fans, and they're extremely vocal, especially on a place as toxic as Twitter. They're very loud, right? At the same time, there is an argument to be made and proven time and time again why the top 2 need to stay. When the top 2 fail, the team collapses. We just saw this in this series. This is the reason why Mohammad Rizwan and Babar Azam need to be there.
I can't believe we're back doing this.
We will always be doing this because this is the contentious part of being a Pakistani fan currently in this space is there are camps, right? There are pockets where there are pro Babar openers, there are anti Babar openers, and then there's just anti Babar people.
So let's revisit this Babar Rizwan opening duo. It's a great duo. I love it. They're great players. They're
one of the most top 50.
They're reliable players.
You know how many top unbeaten 50 partnerships they have?
And they have many, even 100 partnerships.
And I mean, the argument against that is what?
So I understand they provide stability, but at what cost? As a captain, I've captained in my gully, my high school, my university. Whenever I was captain of my team, my primary job, or any captain's job, is to optimize their players' performances, to get the best out of each player. Now, you tell me, where do we get the best out of Iftikhar Ahmed and Saim Ayub? At number 3, number 4, when they're genuine openers? Or do we play them as openers where they've scored all of their runs in their career? And isn't this the point where maybe the captain sacrifices, or we've seen experimentation in every aspect of Pakistan cricket, Pakistan T20 cricket, giving youngsters a chance, trying all-rounders, trying different pacers. But the one thing where we are reluctant and experimenting is Babar and Rizwan's opening pair.
Is it reluctancy or is it confidence?
I think it's an ego thing at this point, where Babar's like, you know what? I love this opening pair. Whatever happens, I'm not changing this.
Because it's time and time again proving itself.
At what cost, though?
At the cost of winning.
So the first match, you said, Babar and Rizwan, whenever they flop, Pakistan collapses. The first game was actually an example where they did not collapse.
And then what was the second game?
So the reason why is Iftikhar Ahmed and Saim Ayub, because we lost early wickets, they were in the power play. So they both scored 47. They both utilized the power play, which as openers is their primary job, and that's what they know, right? Saim Ayub has been playing cricket since his under 16 days. And that's all he knows, playing a new ball, utilizing the power play, the gaps in the field. And he's very effective in the power play. So they both scored 47, and we had a cameo in the end as well from a few players, which got our score to 184. But again, you're going to have these conversations over and over again.
But that's the sign of a good team, where if your openers flop, you still get to 184 because you have that backbone. Yeah, 184. Yeah, you get there because you have that backbone. Let's say if they don't flop, you still get to 184 because your openers are so strong. They'll give you that stability in the first 6 to 8 overs. They'll go at around 8.5. And then when it's 8 overs, 65 runs, 1 wicket, you can have someone as Iftikhar Azam that's as explosive, or Saim Ayub that comes in, that can still build an innings. We are failing to realize how versatile these players are. Okay? It's not role-playing anymore, especially when it's such a short format where there isn't a lot of time to stabilize. You put Babar at a 1 down, you put Rizwan at a 2nd down. What are you gonna do? You're gonna slog through your middle overs. The middle overs that are currently explosive because of players like Iftikhar Ahmed and Saim Ayub.
So the whole argument behind Babar and Rizwan opening is that they provide stability, right? And the risk of having someone like a Iftikhar Ahmed or Saim Ayub open is that if we lose early wickets, we might have a collapse. But if we lose early wickets, and if we have someone like a Babar Azam coming 1 down, can't he not consolidate and anchor the innings as what he's doing as an opener?
Yeah, but him doing that in the early overs, in the first couple of overs, like in one of the games he got out for 1 in 6 balls, right? He was struggling.
Yeah.
He got out. That's fine. If he does that in like the 10th, 11th over where you're supposed to start launching, where if Iftikhar scored 14 or 18 runs off the 11th over of the World Cup against India, where players are coming in to start launching off to the next pedestal, you want Rizwan and Babar to come and take 2 overs to settle down? No.
Fair point.
My whole argument is let them utilize the power play because they know how to take out gaps. You don't think Babar knows how to pick out a gap? Just because he doesn't slog it over mid-on does not mean that he's inefficient. His century came out of a 174 strike rate, right? Like that's a big change from what he was doing before. Still, I mean, I hate these Simon Dula criticisms of like, oh, he was at 41 from like 25 balls. He took 6 balls to take his 50. That's such a, sorry for my French, but shit analysis.
By the way, he did the same.
He did the same to Virat Kohli. Yeah. What is this analysis? I saw someone on Twitter, Arham Latif, who I actually respect. He's a really good, one of those people on Twitter that I follow. He's very funny and has really interesting cricket takes. He had the same take, and It was just appalling to me because it was like it doesn't change the course of the game. What does he finish on? He finishes on 100 or something off 50 something balls. That's what counts, right? I forget who was it Iftikhar or was maybe somebody else who took maybe 10 or 15 balls to get to 15 or 17 runs, and then I think it was Tom Latham actually. Now that I think about it, in the third or second T20, he took his time to get to 30 or 25 or 30. From there, the next 30 runs he scored were on 15 balls.
Yeah.
It's an average score. The innings does not end when Babar scores at 50, surprisingly, or unsurprisingly, I should say. It continues on. So that argument, again, these are nitpicky things, right? It's just like one of those things where we're just trying to find faults at an otherwise pristine, perfect performance.
Right, sure. I think we're going to have this conversation over and over
forever again. Because Babar isn't going to drop out of unless the captaincy changes and whatnot. And until we are under the reign of Babar Azam, and God help us, we be there for a very, very long time, this is not going to change. And the criticism against it is going to be loud, as it always has been. But every time this happens, Babar Azam will prove himself. Because remember, the king has rise again. Or whatever. I don't know what happened to my English. Right there.
This man's a writer.
I'm a writer. The king roars again. I don't know what Rouge Mumtaz said when he scored a century, but whatever she said, I retweet that. The lion
roars again.
The lion roars again. Right? So there we go. That's what he is.
So just so I understand, you're okay with middle order batsmen opening while our genuine openers play in the middle order?
Yeah, I don't mind that.
Okay.
Do you forget Kamran Akmal was a middle order batsman opening? He single-handedly
saved the test in Karachi. We didn't have openers that were coming in, one down or two down.
Yeah, but like, I'm just saying.
So I'm just thinking of like from a player performance optimization point of view, right?
I think we're getting too much into the weeds of this. It doesn't matter. We're winning matches. We're winning series. I just wanted to get to one point you said in the beginning. I think we're giving our youngsters, we're letting them off the hook by saying that the Afghanistan series was a lot harder than this series. I think the argument against that, it's one of those things where like, oh my God, are you really trying to like optimize your win ratios to win a bilateral series so that you don't let these other guys play? You should have let them play this series and not the Afghanistan series. Like that's, in hindsight, all of these criticisms make sense, and people are like very quick to make those calls. The honest answer is that we lost the Afghanistan games by very close margins, apart from I think one washout. The other one was a very close margin game. If we had won that, the youngsters would have been fine. They're professional cricketers. They may have been young, but it's not like they've never held a bat before. That argument that the Afghanistan series was too tough for them, it's BS. And the argument that this series is softer than the Afghanistan series and we should have tried them more is also BS.
This is also a very double-edged sword when you're playing a New Zealand, let's say a B team, because their main players are in the IPL. If you win, it's whatever because you beat a New Zealand B team. But if you lose, it's like, oh, you lost against a New Zealand B team.
That's exactly what happened in Afghanistan.
So it's like you can never really make the fans happy. At the same time, people are also wondering if this is in fact a New Zealand B team and there's no T20 World Cup coming in for the next 1 year at least, why not experiment? Why not give players like Ehsanullah a chance? Because he didn't get a chance to make it to the playing 11. And I was also shocked to see Naseem Shah not in the first 2 games. He played the third one and then he got dropped for the fourth one again. So I'm not sure what's going on there.
Is that a drop or is that a rest?
Resting from what?
I don't know. Like, that's the thing that I don't understand.
He's 20 years old, he's fit.
Or not you, but people are complaining we're not giving young people a chance. We put Zaman Khan in the team and then they're like, what about Naseem? What is this like criticism?
You think it's criticism for the sake of criticism?
Yeah. It's like, what are we doing? So like, okay, we take Naseem out, we put Zaman in, we'll take Shaheen out, we put Ehsanullah in, and then we're like, man, you don't play Shaheen, he just got fit. All right, you put Shaheen back in. Zaman Khan had like one of the best PSLs ever. Like, when are we gonna win? Like, my argument against the whole Haris thing is like, where do you put him?
I would take Saim Ayub and put Haris in.
Okay, then do that.
I hope they do.
But I don't mind seeing Saim there because what are we doing?
You can rotate. I think you can rest Fakhr and put Saim in.
There we go. Right? I would agree with that
because they're like for like lefty openers.
Yep.
And Saim at 1 down or even 2 down would be pretty good. And having that left-right combination in your middle order always disturbs the bowling side. So,
but I feel like the Saim and Haris correlation is so similar. Having both of them at 3 and 4 would be volatile. because
It is risky, yeah.
Fakhr is a bit more stable.
But again, if you're talking about the launch pad in the middle overs, that's what you need.
Fair enough.
You need a Haris. You need
Fair
a
enough.
Saim.
There's no wrong answer to any of these, right? Like we can go.
These are, by the way, good problems to have.
These are amazing problems. The problem is that we have never faced these kind of situations. And literally, I kid you not, our journalism is so weak that we are making mountains out of antholes right now, right? Especially with, like, we will look back at this Babar career, this Babar reign, and find out, and when we read back from the media pages and the journalism newspapers, we'll be like, what were we criticizing him about? What is this?
I think Babar's in the job for close to 3 years now. And
Yes.
now we're finally seeing a team forming.
Yeah.
A unit. And like it's just so crazy to me where this is an ODI World Cup year and we have at least 8 to 9 guys locked into our team. When is the
before.
last time that happened?
I don't even remember.
If you recall the last ODI World Cup, we announced one team for the England series and for the World Cup. And then post England series, we made like 4 changes.
I remember that.
So it's always that uncertainty. And this is why I like Babar, because even the same thing happened, by the way, I just repeated. In the 2021 T20 World Cup, we announced one team for the World Cup, and then right before the last day to change dates, we put Sohaib Maksud out, we put Shoaib Malik back in, Mohammad Hafiz came back in, and just so many last minute changes. It's like uncertainty. You're not sure about your players.
It's because the board was insecure.
But last World Cup, Babar was like, this is a team for the Asia Cup. This is a team for the England series. This is a team for the World Cup. I am not changing anything. I am not bringing back Hafiz, Wahab Riaz, Mohammad Amir, or Shoaib Malik. We're going to go with youngsters. And we're now finally seeing the fruits of that investment.
Yeah, because what happened then? You invested in these players. You backed them up. They played tough conditions. They played 2 finals, 1 semifinal. Like, these are players who have been through the system so many times that now when they're going to be in positions where, hopefully we're going to reach the playoffs of this World Cup and the Asia Cup, you'll be like, oh, they're veterans now. They've been here like 3 or 4 times before. I would be extremely surprised if Pakistan does not come back home with at least an Asia Cup or World Cup this season. I would genuinely be surprised. Yeah. And then we could have that conversation about removing Babar. But if Pakistan comes home with one or both of those trophies,
yeah,
I don't think he's going anywhere. I think it's going to be an Imran Khan thing where he's going to be he's been a captain at least for the next 2 years, and then the next 2 years after that.
Speaking of players we've invested in, Haris Rauf has been having an amazing series.
Oh my God.
That first T20, he had 4 wickets. I think he
14.
recorded his best T20 figures. He is improving day by day. His accuracy, his length, his pace, the consistency, and everything that he's doing.
The intellect that he uses to bowl.
The variation
he's a very
in his
smart
bowling.
bowler.
Yes. So I think after a very long time, we've seen a Pakistani bowler who is so exciting to watch. Obviously, Shaheen is up there, but every time Haris is bowling, I'm always keeping an eye on the speed guns, the radar that's recording his speed, the lengths he's bowling, the variations that he has. A very dynamic bowler who can bowl at any stage of the game, be it first change in the power play, in the middle overs. That he's an expert death over bowler. So
Also, the interesting thing is he bowls at such an interesting period of the game. He bowls after the 10 overs.
Yeah.
So the last 8 overs is shared between Haris and somebody else.
Yeah.
That is such a key, important player. That's where you choke them.
Mm-hmm.
You get those. He gets like 3 or 4 wickets in that spell. Plus, if he's giving like 25, 30 runs, that's fine.
Yeah.
But he's choking them with the wickets. He's not letting them really launch. And that's where I think Babar trusts Haris so much, because once you have that locked down, you know that if they even if they were at like 80, 90, 110 overs, they'll stop at 180. He won't let you go past a certain amount. And I love that, because then your death bowling is stronger. Your middle overs, which is sort of where the runs leak a lot more. Freudian slip. That's where Haris just comes up and stops the whole program.
And I think, that's also been validated by him being picked in the 100 draft for the UK. Him and Shaheen are playing with the same team. They were picked as the second most expensive players. And again, it's because of that experience that he has, the death over specialist that he is.
Who was the most expensive player?
I don't know. I don't want to misquote anybody. But
did we talk about Babar not getting picked in the 100? That's so stupid.
Babar, for the second time, was in the most elitist category, but nobody picked him.
That's wild to me.
It's not wild to me, if I'm being honest.
Wow. Babar hater, bro.
But yeah,
this is why you get internet hate, and I don't mind it. This is why people on TikTok are like, "Yo,
I love Babar, but let's talk about him in T20s as an opener, and we can do better." The other thing that
I'm just saying
surprised
when he's dropped to like first and second down, you are gonna sit on this podcast and be upset about it. I'm just gonna say,
give me that opportunity.
give you the option to be
I
upset.
want to be disappointed.
All right. Okay.
One more thing that was a bit shocking is that, so not shocking really, but we've sort of, I guess, categorized Ahmed as our new T20 left arm bowler. Nawaz may have been restricted just to ODIs now. And the other funny thing is that Ahmed's specialty in T20s is bowling with a new ball in the power play. The first two games, the first game he bowled the 15th over, and which I think is very late to bring him on. I think Pakistan had too many bowling options. For instance, we had Fahim Ashraf playing, we had Iftikhar playing, Shadab playing. We were playing a number of all rounders, which gave Pakistan a wide variety of bowling options, and perhaps that's why Babar waited till the 15th over to bring Ahmed on.
It was also the left hand right hand combination as well. I think a lot of lefties were playing.
Maybe, and also if you've been hearing this podcast, I've been saying that. As a fast bowler myself, I think the best way to utilize a new ball is by giving it to fast bowlers instead of wasting it by giving it to a spinner. You want to extract as much swing as you can as available.
Yeah.
And so we saw Shaheen and Zaman Khan open the bowling. So I think that's a great call. In the last game in Pindi, we saw again Shaheen and Zaman Khan open the bowling, but since there was no swing, Babar brought Ahmed on. So that to me made a bit more sense. You
that's
can
also
assess conditions.
Also a maturing of Babar's captaincy, being aware of the game, being not a reactionary captain but a proactive captain, and understanding what's actually going on, and basically giving his bowlers the confidence. I was also very surprised by that move that you're talking about, not bringing Ahmed in until the 15th over. Ballsy move. I mean, it's a ballsy call. Ahmed is a great T20 specialist bowler. I have a question. Maybe we've talked about this before, but it's no harm to discuss it a little bit again. Do you think Ahmed would have saved the 16 runs against India that Nawaz gave in the final? No, in the World Cup?
I think we've talked about this. We've seen one instance where Ahmed has bowled in the death overs, and that's the first game of the Champions Trophy against India. And Hardik Pandya absolutely demolished him. I think he hit him for like 3 or 4 sixes. And even Virat Kohli hit him. So I think it was because Wahab Riaz got injured, we had to bring back Ahmed for the last over, and he had a terrible.
So we don't think that would have been okay.
We don't think so.
But what about this Ahmed, the new and improved Ahmed?
The new and improved one. I don't know. Maybe it's tough to say. I do feel like he has slightly better variations. I was just watching him bowl today. He has that one ball where it's the in swinger sort of where he bowls, and then his variation is the ball that he loops up and just puts some spin on it. So oftentimes, if you haven't played him often, you can get deceived by the pace variation, the spin, or even just the swing, because you play him as a spinner, and then you suddenly realize the ball's in swinging. So it's tough with those bowlers. On that note, I met Samuel Badri back in 2016 in Trinidad, and I think Samuel Badri and Ahmed Wasim are similar bowlers.
Yeah.
And I asked Samuel Badri, he was at that time the number 1 T20 bowler in the world. He had just came off winning the T20 World Cup in India. And I asked him, like, how would you as a batsman face yourself? And he said, don't tell anybody. Sorry, it's too late now. He's retired. He said, play me as a medium pacer and not a spinner. That's how you would get the most success. And if anybody wants to navigate the best way to play Ahmed Wasim, you play him as a medium pacer.
Yeah, it's a good call. So just like very small flex. Samuel Badri advice on the Backward Point podcast, of course.
Let's go to the second T20I. We saw again the Riz Bar partnership.
Lion roars again.
99 runs for the opening partnership. Rizwan got a 50. Babar was a bit slow in the beginning, but he caught up, and we saw a middle order collapse. The first T20, Saim Ayub and Fakhar Zaman both scored for 47 runs each. In the second T20I, they also both scored ducks.
Yes.
So I think
beautiful partnership there by them. They have consistently stayed together.
So we lost 3 or 4 wickets
in 2 overs.
I think if that didn't happen, Pakistan was looking to score 200 plus. But credits to Babar for continuing on with his pace, and also big credits to Iftikhar, who he came down the order and scored 33 runs and scored.
I think we're going to
believe
talk
2
about
or 3
Iftikhar
sixes.
quite a bit in a bit, but I just want to talk about that Babar Azam innings.
Yeah.
Every time Babar scores a century, there is a part of my soul that is enlightened.
Your soul.
Yes. I think this is all the cricket boys that I know have this special love for Babar Azam that I can only akin to the love that I had for Shaheen Afridi back in the day. It has switched over to Babar. And every time he succeeds, I was talking to my wife about this. Like, there is a joy in my heart that is like unreplaceable. It is unaccounted for. It is beautiful. It is just a vapor of complete magnitude of the highest degree of happiness that I can possibly have.
Was the wifey jealous about this? Or
She
what
was
happened?
just very concerned. Lots of concerned emojis were being sent my way. But it's true. I will openly admit, like, I love this man and I love when he scores runs. It gives me validation. It gives me happiness. All right. The day that Babar scores a century in any format, Twitter is the most beautiful place in the world. It's lighthearted. It's complimentary. People are nice to each other. It's a kind place to be. And the day that Babar does not, even if he scores 50 off 30, it's a toxic scum of the earth pit of human just indecency, right? So that day that Babar scored a century, I saw the whole thing. It was such a dramatic thing. You know, he needed about 16 runs in the last
He was
over.
85 in the last over.
Yeah, 15 on the last over. He went for it. And to see him smash those sixes, to go, and then the roar that came out of him. I also want to talk about how I think Uruj Mandaz is probably Pakistan's best commentator right now. She's undoubtedly versatile, objective, and just fun to listen to.
Good call.
Right? I think she's great. And her calling that whole routine was also like, she's gonna go down in the history as one of the, you know, Shaheen Afridi beauties. It's one of those iconic moments that's stemmed in my brain. But yeah, just the way that finish happened, and then, you know, Pakistan winning from there, it was just I was happy to see that. He came on the post presentation show with Zainab and Uruj, and he basically said, without saying, that this was a big middle finger to the critics, a big middle finger to the journalists who were, you know, slagging me and dragging my name in the dirt. I'm Babar Azam. I'm the king of the sport. I'm the number one all formats. Put some respect on that name.
I absolutely agree. I think Babar's success over the years has become so personal, where anytime he scores 100 or achieves any milestone, it gives me the greatest joy as well. So to see Babar out of nowhere sort of scored that 100, I wasn't expecting him to score 15 off the last over and get to his 100. And to me, one of the great moments of that 100 was when he hit that shot. He was 97 off the last ball. Jimmy Neesham was bowling to him. He hits the ball, over covers, and the whole crowd, even if Iftikhar Ahmed on the other end, was looking towards the boundary. Like, is it a four? Is it in the gap? But Babar knew. The moment Babar made contact, he knew it was going to go for four. And Babar celebrated the moment he contacted bat to ball. It almost gave me flashbacks to Ben Stokes at Headingley.
Oh yeah,
when he hit that four in the end, there's a slow-mo shot of him hitting that shot, and as soon as he makes contact, he celebrates, but the crowd is still watching the ball, and it takes a couple seconds for the crowd to recognize that this is it.
Yeah,
he's done it. So for Babar to show those emotions, you know, he's typically someone who has good control over his emotions,
very collected,
and to see him jump, scream, and celebrate the way he did clearly shows how much that meant to him. This was his 29th international 100, his third in T20Is. He is only behind Rohit Sharma in terms of the most T20I 100s in the world. And I can bet you that this won't be Babar's last.
Yeah, you should have let him bat today before the hailstorm, and maybe he would have crashed that record. But yeah, just complete dominance from Babar, you know, proving himself to be the best in the game, to be the best that Pakistan has ever seen. We did see Syed Anwar recently, who currently has the most centuries for Pakistan.
And ODIs.
Yeah, and in all formats.
That's
together.
Yunus Khan, 41.
Oh, jeez, I didn't even know that.
34 in Test, 7 ODIs.
Oh, there we go. 34 in Test with Yunus Khan. But like, Babar is gonna surpass those people.
Yeah,
it's not surprising or absolutely outrageous to say that. It's just a matter of when. But yeah, I'm always happy to see Babar succeed. it's like validation to some inner part of me. I mean, Freud would have a lot of theories about this, but yeah, it's a good site.
Haris Rauf was again in the wickets, 4 wickets again. This man loves bowling against New Zealand. I think he has his most wickets in T20Is against New Zealand. Again, variation, pace, everything you need in a fast bowler. And Haris Rauf has become our go-to guy to take wickets. Nasir Hussain in 2017 said, you need a wicket, you go to Hassan Ali. I want to change that to right now. You need a wicket, you go to Haris Rauf. And I'm excited to what he does in the future. And what a bowling pair, a bowling trio, I want to say, he's going to form with Shaheen and Naseem. If they're all fit, this could be our Stark, Cummins, Hazelwood.
Jeez, big names to compare them.
I know they're great bowlers in test matches, and that's where you judge how legendary somebody is. But I think in white ball cricket, this could be our formidable pace trio that can serve us for the next at least 5 years.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope you're right about that. What do you got next?
Third T20I. New Zealand batting first. They scored 164. Pakistan comes out to bat. They have a major fallout. 64 for 6. Our whole top order flaps. The shocking part to me is the batting order in this match. We saw Shadab, Imad, and Shaheen Afridi bat over our man Iftikhar Ahmed.
Yeah.
How do you comprehend that? How do you make sense of that?
I was thinking about that actually. I think I read a thread about how that was. It's not as cataclysmic as people are making it out to be. I think it was just an experiment Babar was trying. Shaheen, are we forgetting what he did in the final of the PSL?
But should we be promoting him, or should we be keeping him at his batting position so that could extend our tail?
I mean, our tail was very deep.
It was. I mean, we have Fahim Ashraf coming at number 9.
Yes.
We talked extensively about, we had a whole episode about Pakistan finding their next Abdul Razak, their next fast bowling all-rounder. And I love to see Pakistan investing in Fahim Ashraf. He is improving day by day.
Oh yeah, I was shocked by the shots he was hitting. Those were clean, clear hits.
Iftikhar and Fahim's partnership took Pakistan for it was a 61-run partnership. Iftikhar scored 61, and Fahim also scored 27. Iftikhar scored 6 massive sixes.
Man, that Iftikhar Ahmed innings was like it's imprinted into my mind. It's akin to what Abdul Razak did many years ago.
I was just gonna say, people are comparing that knock, that if he had finished that match,
oh man,
it would have been a similar knock.
That's just the difference between Abdul Razak and Iftikhar Ahmed. Abdul Razak finished that.
You finished that match.
And bro, Iftikhar would have as well. It was just one miss hit.
Yeah.
10 feet away from the boundary line. Like, it was so close, and you cannot dock him for going for that shot. It was on.
Absolutely.
It was completely on.
He needed 15 off the last over.
Yeah.
And he scored a 6, scored a 4, 5 off 3. You know, when you have someone like, I think it was a Naseem Shah or Haris Rauf on the other end, you have to go for the big shot. People are like, yo, why didn't he go for a double? Why didn't he just hit a boundary? Go for a 4. 5 off 3. And when you're hitting 6, when you've already hit 6 sixes, you're going to take a chance by going for the glory shot. So I don't blame him. Maybe a few inches here and there. And if he had middled that, it would have gone way past the boundary. That's also one thing I want to talk about, that his 6 hitting ability is insane. When he hits the ball, they stay hit. I don't think I saw a single 6 from him that was below 85 meters.
Yeah. Or
the
top
confidence he had before he went to Australia for the World Cup, and he said, the boundaries in Australia are not big enough for me.
He proved it.
He scored one of the longest 6s in that World Cup, 106 meters against South Africa at Sydney, hitting the top tier on the leg side. This man really knows how to power hit. And I want to see more of him in our T20 team. I talked in the last episode about even seeing him in our ODI team.
I'm shocked that he's not in it.
But right now we have Agha Salman. So
I mean, is Agha Salman as a pinch hitter as a Iftikhar?
The reason why I like Iftimania, #Iftimania, is because he has switches. He can play singles and doubles. He can, turn that switch on and go for the power hitting. I want to see more of Agha Salman before I can pass a judgment. But just as of now, from what I've seen of Iftikhar, and what his list A records say, by the way, he's 48 average, 90 plus strike rate. ODI format is his strongest suit. So
do you think we'll see a change?
We might. We have,
because the World Cup team is definitely unannounced, right?
We have 5 ODIs here. Then we have
the whole Asia Cup
coming up. So
I would say you put Iftikhar on the team. I think looking at Babar's reaction to that innings, because they were also panning a lot to the to the stands. Babar was thoroughly impressed.
I think Babar wasn't impressed. Babar always knew that Iftikhar had this capability. So for him to finally translate those performances in domestic over to international, that to me and to Babar and to everyone who knows Iftikhar Ahmed has been the most delightful thing.
I think Iftikhar has two very prominent events or pop culture moments in my life. Number one, hitting Wahab for 6 sixes. That will never ever get. Like, I watch that when I'm sad sometimes, because I think Wahab is the most underrated bowler that Pakistan has ever produced. And what Iftikhar did to Wahab in Quetta, chef's kiss. Love that. This is number 2 for Iftikhar.
Iftikhar right now, as we speak, has the most sixes in T20s in 2023. He also has the most sixes by a Pakistani in T20Is since 2022.
Crazy.
So
Crazy.
These are good signs. He's a very fit person, so he can serve Pakistan
Also,
for a long time.
a bit of a troll on Instagram, eh?
Yeah.
After
I
he
think
scores that.
he's trying to overcome the Chacha hashtag by doing the Iftimania.
I don't like the Jaja thing anymore, bro.
But I like how he takes it. He doesn't take it personally. He's
I thought he did take it
If
personally.
people are enjoying it, that's fine.
Did he say that?
Yeah.
Because I heard something else. I heard that he was really upset about people calling him Jaja, and his kid is calling him Jaja. Apparently. I don't know if that's true, but I read that. And so I was like, bro, just don't call him Chachu. But Lahore's crowd was like very engaging. They literally went for the Chachu slogan.
Yeah.
And I mean, if he's taking it in good fun, then I don't mind that. It is funny how like the we started to troll him, and now it's become his thing.
Yeah.
I feel like that's really evident of the Pakistani mindset, is that we troll so many people that it has to it starts becoming their sign of virtue, I guess.
Yeah. Let's go to the fourth T20I.
Yeah, the one that just happened today.
Yeah, 18.5 overs. Shaheen was a bit expensive up front.
Great catch,
by the way, the games went to Pindi. So flat pitches, a nightmare for bowlers to bowl there. Just how flat the decks are. And we saw one more change, not in the playing 11 or the 15 squad, but the dressing room.
Mm-hmm.
Mickey Arthur is back.
As a director.
As a director.
What does that mean?
As a Zoom coach, I don't know what his roles entail. There needs to be clear role definition of what his job is, so we can judge why he's been brought back and what his job description is, basically.
Like, what, we just have another man on payroll now? Like, is PCB that rich? What is going on here? Like, the point of Mickey Arthur, I fail to understand.
Yeah,
we just made up a role for him so that we can incorporate him. Just make him the coach then, if that's what you really want.
But he's already, contracted at Derbyshire. Then he doesn't want to leave county.
Then goodbye.
And we talked about how there's uncertainty, and there will always be uncertainty in Pakistan cricket because the PCB is connected to the government. The government is unstable.
It's volatile, yeah.
It's volatile. There can be changes happening at any time. The government changes, the PCB changes. Contracts can be not honored. So even, I wouldn't ever want to be part of the PCB.
Really? So if the PCB contacts Ahmed Bashar together, it's like, yo, we need to be the art director or whatever position Mickey Arthur is in. Bro, you say yes or no?
I would probably be like, I want job security and a peace of mind. So probably not in that sense.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. All right. PCB, we just lost that contract. I just wanted to quickly talk about something that has been frustrating me about the PCB for many, many, many years. How they have sort of gate kept their players from the media. They never let their players actually come out and have these relationships with their fans. We've many times tried to reach out to Pakistani cricketers to come onto this podcast, and many times we've gotten the response that, hey, we really want to come, but we're contractually obligated. We cannot show up to something that PCB does not write off. It is absolutely disgusting. It is absolutely obscene. I think it really puts roadblocks where fans and players meet. You see, I'm not even going to talk about another sport because people get pissed off when I talk about the NBA. But even in cricket, you have active players like Jimmy Anderson, who has a very successful podcast called Tailenders. In Australia, you got who's Haddon is the keeper.
Brad Haddon?
Brad Haddon shows up on podcasts. The ex-cricketers are showing up on these podcasts in on like Great Cricketer. Wasim Akram will go on the Great Cricketer, but will not come on Backward Point. Like, the problem is huge there. But when You have to give them credit where it's due. I've been saying for a very long time that Pakistan has a great number of digital creators. Your Irfan Janejos, your
Murus.
Murus, your Yukhanos, if you want. I mean, Shoaib Akhtar did hire Yukhano to do his thing, and it was absolutely insane. The insight that we got on that, the behind the scenes that we got for players like Shaheen Afridi, Abdul Razak, Shoaib
Misbah
Akhtar,
Haq.
insane. Yeah, Misbah. So, and then the Irfan Janeja video for the PSL when he was with Islamabad United, it was one of the best things I've seen on the internet. Like, it's this beautiful thing, and you get like a one-on-one with players as well. During the rain out, I don't know who was shooting it. It seemed like they were being shot on a DSLR. It was very nice to see behind the scenes. You got to see, like, you got in on conversations. Saim Ayub being a super duper Johari Karachiite. Love that for him. He's like, this is the first time, like, this is my pehli dafa baraf dekhi hai. I was like, bro, this is the most Johari answer ever. Because if you live in defense, you know that you go to like Bourbon and Muddy all the time. But my boys from Johor, they ain't going out. They don't even go to defense. So I was very happy to see that he was living his best life. Just those conversations. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
Like, we shared it
yeah.
on the channel, on our show, on our Instagram account
yeah.
as well. Yes. I really enjoyed that. More of that, please. I would say contract these big YouTubers. I don't want to speak for anyone, but I'm pretty sure Irfan would be into that. I'm pretty sure a lot of the other YouTubers would be into that if the PCB contracts them, gets them in. The Asia Cup is coming. The World Cup is coming. There are games against India that are going to be iconic and sealed in the memory and history and legacy of cricket. Take advantage of it. That's it.
I think what you're saying is, when we saw last T20 World Cup, the PCB media started posting speeches from post-match talks that Babar Azam was giving. That to me gave me goosebumps because we had never in our lives seen that sort of exposure to the Pakistan dressing room. And even to see the last Asia Cup against India when we beat them, and we had BTS footage of the dressing room, seeing Shadab, Haris Rauf, Naseem Shah, Babar scream and have anxiety like we fans do sitting at home. I think that definitely helped bridge the gap between the fans and the players.
It was great to see
what
that.
you said about the players not being able to come on podcasts, that to me is concerning. I want to see more players on our podcast. We're always asked about getting current players, ex-players. We've been trying. We've been getting
Rejected.
rejected.
And it's not even because of our numbers. It's just because they're like, we can't.
Yeah,
we're not obligated.
we hope to see a day where we can have multiple players show up, and that I think is the vision, the goal that we want to get to.
Yeah.
Because I think we have a very different podcast, and the question that we might ask someone like Haris Rauf or Babar Azam might be different to what Nadir Ali asks on his podcast.
Good call.
So
I also saw a Babar on the Peshawar Zalmi podcast. It was okay. There were some really good moments that, like, if we were to interview him in that position, we would have gone deeper and would have hit harder on those questions. The Peshawar Zalmi podcast just seemed very chaotic. Like, we're asking deep questions and then we're doing rapid round, and then it felt very scripted. I like Rohan Nadim's podcast as well, but I have the same criticism. It just feels like she has a set of 10 questions and she's going back and forth on it. It annoys me. What can I say? I'm not a fan of that. Hopefully, we do get enough people to like and subscribe to our podcast and share this, that we get big enough that we are unignorable and we get these people on the podcast. I would love to interview Babar Azam, by the way.
yeah, let's wrap this episode up. I just wanted to talk about the last T20I. I was mentioning Mickey Arthur because we saw Imad Wasim ball in the power play. I don't know if that was a decision that was influenced from Babar by Mickey Arthur. Now that he's in the dressing room, a lot of the players that Mickey Arthur is reuniting with are the players that he introduced in his tenure. Fakhar Zaman, Fahim Ashraf, Babar Azam, Imad Wasim, all of these guys, Shaheen Afridi, played while Mickey Arthur was there. And now that he's back after like 4 years, they have become better players. They've become stars. And that's exactly what Mickey intended to make them into. So, they're reconnecting. They're having those personal relationships with him come back. So I would have loved to see how Pakistan chased that score of 164. Maybe New Zealand would have gotten like 175, 180. On that Bindi pitch, I would have loved to see Pakistan's batting depth come into play and seeing how they would chase that. One thing that's concerning for me that I've seen so far, Shaheen Afridi, I feel like he's lost at least 5 to 8 Ks post knee injury. I know he's still coming back in form, and getting into full rhythm. But I just feel like I hope he's done his rehab as he should have done. And he's just getting back into rhythm and getting into the feel of bowling again. But this is a big year, and I want to see Shaheen back at 145 clicks, 150 clicks, as he was bowling in the 2021 T20 World Cup. I think he even clocked in up to 151 Ks. So I look at Shaheen as our Mitchell Stark. We need him up front. We need him bowling at high pace, swinging the ball. If that means that Shaheen needs to be rested for the rest of the series, let's do that.
You're not going to play him in ODIs. That's what you're
The
saying.
rest of the T20 series, and then you can bring him back in ODIs.
There's only one game left.
No, there's one game left.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's 5 feet. This was the fourth one. Correct.
Yep. So I don't know. Injuries like that do take a toll on your body. So him losing a few clicks there, I don't think it's really it's not worrisome to me. But yeah, I mean, I would assume that he's gonna start building up again. He was hitting the low 140s on this game. I saw that. The one that the only wicket he got in this game, he clocked in at 141. Yeah. Caught that in the middle. A good catch by Shaheen on that one. So yeah, I don't think it's super duper concerning, but yeah, I hope he gets back into his full rhythm soon.
One match to go on Monday. What do you expect? Do you want any changes to the team? We've already, we can't lose the series anymore. So do we take a chance, or do we go for
no? You go for the win. Go for the kill. You 3-1 this series. You should have 5-0'd it in my opinion, but whatever. 3-1 it. Back the T20 series in. Try to 5-0 the ODI series because you definitely can. And then go with full confidence to the Asia Cup. When is the Asia Cup, by the way?
It's supposed to be in August, but they're still figuring out logistics
the venues,
and who's playing where.
We've already talked about that ad nauseum in this podcast about what we feel about that. But yeah, I think so we're gonna play until May 7th is the last game, and then we're gonna have basically a 3-month gap. So June, July.
I think there may have been a series that's being set up in between.
There should be.
If not, there's always going to be a Pakistan camp. So what they typically do, what they did recently, is they call in the 25 best players in the country, and they have intra-team matches. They have tough training conditions, which I think also helps improve players and just making sure that they're up to speed and not getting rusty in terms of match practice and competitiveness.
Yeah, I totally agree. Do you want to talk about Arjun Tendulkar before we
leave?
We are kind of easing up on time, but I think we should quickly talk about it.
I typically wouldn't have talked about this, but you're somebody who is critical of nepotism.
I am.
So do you think Arjun Tendulkar, the son of Sachin Tendulkar playing in the IPL for Mumbai Indians, the team that Sachin used to play for, do you think that there is any sort of nepotism involved after seeing him bowl?
What? He's at 128, 130 clicks. He's a very he's a very average bowler. I don't know what I was expecting.
He's more of a swing bowler, so he bowled the first over.
Yeah, like RP Singh. We need another RP Singh.
Well, he clocked in 125, 127, 128. The top speed that I've seen from him is 130.7. He got a wicket off that ball. It was his second match. But I just feel like the way he runs in and the pace that he bowls at, that could have some improvement. He's just a strong lad. He's tall.
Surprisingly.
With the amount of resources that he has, he can easily fix his run up, fix his bowling action.
How long? How many clicks can we add? We can't add 15 clicks.
I think, and what I've seen in the past is every bowler at least has 5 to 10 Ks in them.
You're saying he can hit 140?
I'm thinking he can hit at least 135. At least 135.
And how? In a world filled with Bumrahs and Mohammad Sirajes and Mohammad Shamis, that's so mediocre.
So
unless he's like Mohammad Asif, which his swing is incredible and playable, which it's not. Arjun Tendulkar was, to be honest, no criticism. Like, I'm not trying to be harsh. Very average.
Yep.
Nothing surprising.
I'm just saying, if he wants to, he could be like a tall left arm in swing bowler if he gets his pace up to 135, 140 even. But even with that, I think Arshdeep Singh is a lot better.
Totally forgot
he can
about
swing
him.
the ball both ways. His left arm has incredible control. So he may be just sticking to playing with the IPL for Mumbai Indians.
I mean, he's going to have a good career in like league cricket. He's going to be one of those Azam Khan situations where he's definitely going to get a call into the national squad. We're going to see him for a series or two. He's going to cost some games and he's going to be away. I'm telling you.
Looking back at history, one of the greatest cricketers that India ever produced was Sunil Gavaskar, and his son Rohan Gavaskar was a leg spinner, and They somehow got him into the Indian team. He played a few ODIs. He is an all commentator. So you never know. They might do this with Arjun as well. It is a lot. Cricket's different now. It's a lot more competitive, and you can't really risk just giving Indian caps out to anybody.
Yeah. There's so many people hungry for that position.
Yeah.
He's going to get it for the sake of legacy. He's going to get it. But it's not like it's not a comparison. Like, LeBron James' son is about to go into the NBA.
Yeah.
And he's a genuine prospect. He's like 6'6". He's quick, agile. He's one of the best under G League players in the world right now, in the country. So that makes sense. Like, if you're LeBron's kid, you got to make sure you're LeBron's kid, right? I don't know.
Why do you think Arjun pursued bowling and not
That's
batting?
what I was just going to come up. I was like, maybe he doesn't want to be like compared to his dad. But like, then we have Shivnarine Chandrapal's son, who I forget his name, but
Tejanarine.
yeah, he looks like his dad, bats like his dad, plays like his dad, and his scoring runs like his dad.
They've even played together in a first class match in Guyana.
There we go.
Like, imagine batting with your dad.
That's insane. That's crazy. I would love that.
You would maybe that for our dad that would be like a lot of pressure because like every ball, oh, don't play that shot. Why'd you do that?
Yeah, for sure.
Give me a single.
But yeah, I don't know, man. Arjun Tendulkar, I need to see more of him. I think he'll have a good, illustrious career in Mumbai Indians just because of the legacy aspect of it. It's good marketing. I don't see him really doing anything in the Indian cricket camp, but I could be proven wrong. I don't mind. It's too early to say.
Well said. And I think that's a good way to end this podcast. If you want to support us,
Yeah,
it's
the
always
good way to end is the crashing Arjun Tendulkar's career.
If you want to support us, you can always like, share, subscribe on it on YouTube. Comment down below. Let's have a discussion. I love engagements. If they're respectful.
Even if they're not.
If you're listening to us on an audio streaming platform, follow us, rate us. That really helps bring the podcast forward. We also post small clippings on Instagram and TikTok. So if you want, you can follow us. We are at Backward Point Pod.
Almost everywhere on all socials.
Correct.
And thank you guys for watching. We're slowly and steadily building this community up. We have over 1,000 followers on TikTok and Instagram, and about over 300 on YouTube. So it's definitely coming along. People are eager and they're really engaging. We're trying to do something with fans included, a Q&A or something like that. Let us know if you're interested in that. If you guys want to know more about us, if you guys want to know more about the podcast, there also talks about a Patreon eventually. So if you guys would, pay for certain content, let us know. We'll talk about that as well. But I feel like we've been rambling on for way too long. Thank you guys for watching and listening, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Thank you for watching Backward Point.
Take care.
Cheers.